barely.
She couldn't walk by herself.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast. Thank you so much for coming back. We're super excited for you to be here. Today, we have a reaction video. And once again, I'm your host, Hawa Zabel.
And I'm Famata Warfield. Welcome back to our channel. Today's topic is talking about boundaries of what that looks like when you meet your kids for the first time during the adoption process. We do have a video that we're going to react to. It's like this super cute couple that went back. I'm not sure what part of Africa this is.
It looks like somewhere in West Africa.
Yeah, like it's maybe West Africa. We're gonna post the video and link it so you guys can go watch the full video. It's only 4 minutes, but we saw some things in there that we thought were necessary to talk about, because when it comes to adoption, I mean, the kids, it's a very weird thing that you're gonna experience. It's actually a really cute video because at the end they kind of show how how the child is doing now versus in the beginning, but it's super cute.
Mm-hmm. So the reason that we wanted to react to this video is because we realized that a lot of adoptees, they have like a story that goes with when they met their adoptive parents. And a lot of times we hear a lot of like similarities, right? Because you're meeting a completely different, like a stranger, someone that you're not familiar with. I know Emily, Fatmata, and we experienced similar experiences, like when we met our adoptive family and how strange the feeling felt. And so we thought it would be interesting to have a topic to talk about this topic, because maybe it's not really talked too much about, because I'm not sure why, but it's just not talked about quite as much as I feel like it should be spoken about. And so I guess the inspiration really was from our experiences. Like when we first, our adoptive family, like I will speak for myself to start off. Like I was very scared. I was scared. I was nervous. One, because it's a complete stranger that was now supposedly my family. That's like my mom. I've actually met my adoptive mom first before I met my adoptive father, because my mom came to Sierra Leone to visit me. But even when I met my mom, I was very scared. I was very, very shy. If she would try to talk to me, I would go behind one of my friends or whatever. So I was very shy talking to her. And in the video that we are reacting to, you can see this little girl. She is scared. She's nervous. She doesn't know who this person is. She's hiding. She doesn't know how to react or respond. And that was very similar to my response to meeting my mom. And then my dad's side, I was scared for a couple of different reasons.
Yeah, that's why I was laughing when you started talking about meeting your family. I was laughing because of the story that you were going to tell with your dad.
Yeah. So my dad, so in Sierra Leone, everybody is like usually like dark skinned. You got a couple of people who are lighter skinned, but usually everyone has similar skin color. There's not a lot of freckles. There's not a lot of variation in skin color, at least in the parts that I lived in Sierra Leone. And so I was used to seeing the same skin tones. Now my adoptive father, he is part Native American. And so he has like a lot of freckles all over his body. And I had never seen that before. I'd maybe seen 1 or 2 moles or marks, but never seen like someone that was fully like freckled, like from top, from face, the body. And so I am not going to lie, I was kind of scared when I first met him, because I thought, and I remember asking my adoptive mom, I was like, is he okay? Is he sick? Like, is everything okay with him? Because I honestly thought he had illness or something like that. Because usually in Sierra Leone, if something is very different, usually it's because someone is sick. That's the first assumption, is like they're sick or ill. So I thought my dad was sick or ill. And then on top of that, he was also like someone who was a stranger. So of course, my dad wasn't sick. He just had a lot of freckles, and he was a really, really sweet man. And so it was really easy for me to like learn how to kind of like connect with him over time. Maybe I wouldn't say it was easy, but it did eventually happen over time.
Yeah, I laugh at that story every single time you tell it, because it's so like funny, and it's just like, and I can totally see why you would be like, you're coming from this one area of side of the world to this like new side of the world, like you've never seen certain types of like white people or freckles and all that stuff. Is such a funny story, but I get it. Yeah, the strangeness in meeting your family for the first time is definitely weird. I met my mother too the first time, but I can only really remember meeting both of them at the same time. And I remember sitting in this room where most of where the parents and the children, they stay and they kind of interact to get to know each other. But I remember being really excited. I don't remember being scared of them at all. I remember being excited and just like, oh my gosh, this is so strange. Like, this is gonna be my new mom now. And like, it was actually very sweet. My dad, one of the first songs, I mean, one of the first things he sang to me, the song "You're My Sunshine." So he was
Yeah.
singing, "You're my
Oh,
sweet." It was so sweet.
that's sweet.
So that was one of the things that I remember. And then he also brought like an album. Both of them brought like an album of the family, showing me like my siblings, where we're gonna live. And I remember like them showing me snow, and I'm like, what the fuck is
You're like, what is this?
what is that? And so they showed it to me, and I'm like trying to get me to understand. Of course, I'm like, what? Until I showed up, and I'm like, oh, okay. But yeah, it was good. It was a beautiful moment. And however, during times like that, when you're meeting your family, things are so it's exciting and you want to meet the kids, but we kind of forget about boundaries, because at the end of the day, it's two strangers meeting each other. So we want to talk about boundaries and what that looks like when you meet the kid. I wouldn't necessarily try to hold them right away. Don't try to hug them. Don't try to be all up in their space, because they don't know you, and they're probably not going to come to you either. Maybe some kids do, but I don't remember
Most
fully
kids
like
don't.
hugging my parents like that. It was just kind of like, hey, this is new. So the best thing to do when you meet is just to kind of like give each other space and talk to each other, if that makes sense. And if they're quiet, if your child is quiet, give them time to warm up to you. Don't try to push. Don't try to come up, with different ways to get your child to talk to you, which can be hard, which I understand. This is, your kid, and you've thought about them. You've gone through this process, and you just like want them to like, love you like how you feel like you already love them already.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, obviously, you want to get to a point where you create a bond and a relationship with them, both emotionally and like physically, right? Where you can feel comfortable hugging them and they can feel the
Yeah.
same way too towards you. But like any relationship, it takes time, but especially
Yeah.
with this type of relationship where you're complete strangers to each other,
Mhm.
and there's this like, um, thought that like as family you're supposed to be like this, whatever, but it's just going to take a lot of time, and you as a parent should not feel bad. You should not
Mhm.
personalize it. That's what I would advise, is like, do not personalize it. Do not take it
Mhm.
as if the child does not like you or anything. They're children, like they don't really know better. They
Yeah.
have to acclimate to the new environment.
Mhm.
So I would say definitely take some time. Don't try to
Mhm.
pressure the child to feel any type of way or act any type of way towards you.
Mhm.
Just allow them to be in their space while you guys are learning each other. That's really all
Mhm.
you can do. And in
Yeah.
this situation, in this video, this lady who's adopting, she's like tickling the child, which is cute. It's nice.
Yeah. Mhm.
Um, but, you know, I hope that she's not the kind of parent that's like, why don't you love me? Why don't you want to be close? And why don't you want
Yeah.
to hug me? Because you do have to um, be willing to face that reality that your adopted child might never feel that feeling of like lovey-dovey and wanting to hug you and sit on your lap and all of that. That just might be the situation, but
Yeah.
you all can build a different type of bond.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that boundary is very, very important. And you also have to think about it. A lot of these kids, especially if you're
Mhm.
adopting from foster care or from third world country, a lot of these kids have gone through a lot of trauma, a lot of sexual abuse,
Mhm.
molestation, physical abuse, being whooped, being,
Yeah.
just all these crazy, nasty um, things have been done to them. So it's really hard for
Mhm.
them to trust.
Yes.
And so you just have to understand that's usually the space they're coming from.
Mhm.
And for people who have gone through those types of traumas, it's
Mhm.
just like 10 times harder to trust. And
Yeah.
one thing I can say I appreciate about my adoptive mom, when she first came to Sierra Leone, she because she observed that I got kind of really nervous and kind of like shy
Mhm.
and scared when it was just me and her. So what
Mhm.
she would do is she had one of my friends from the orphanage like
Mhm.
come and hang out with us. You know what I mean? Like, so I felt a little bit more comfortable
Mhm.
having someone who I knew and trusted there as well.
Mhm.
So that can't always be the situation, but I can
Mhm.
say I appreciated having that kind of like dynamic and that third
Mhm.
person there. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty much all I have to.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I totally get it. And that part where you talked about some of these kids are struggling with trust issues because of the trauma, that is so huge. That is a lot of kids do experience that. And also, I feel like in having those boundaries, you're kind of giving your child the option to decide whether or not they want to have a relationship with you. It kind of keeps things open to where they don't feel forced. Because sometimes when you feel like when the child is going to feel like they're forced being in this family, the connection might not necessarily be the greatest, or they're gonna they're gonna lash out, or different
Mhm.
things gonna come out where they feel like they don't have a choice but to like pick you
Mhm.
because you picked them, because
Yeah.
you put all this money and time into adopting them, and your mind you're like, well, they're just gonna pick me right away, and that's what's gonna happen. And when they don't, it becomes this issue where now you the parent might feel a little disgruntled because you're like, I went through all this and this child is like not wanting to be part of this family. But the best option is just to give them space and be like, you can choose,
Mhm.
and honestly, that makes me that just makes me think, do you ever remember like being asked like, do you want to be adopted? Because I feel like a lot of us, you're put into the orphanage, right? Like you're gonna get adopted, and it's like I feel like a lot of us like didn't have that choice in saying yes, you know what I mean? Is that
Yeah,
me?
I mean,
But
I feel
and
like, yeah, most of us did not have that
yeah,
option at
yeah,
all, or were like spoken about it. And even if we
yeah,
did have that option, it was like adoption was like basically the equivalent of getting married. You know what I mean? Like you're in this
yeah,
relationship, the end goal is to get married. So it's like,
yeah,
yeah, you don't really know the reality of it. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah, no, I just thought about that because I'm like, how often? Because yes, you get your family that picks you, right? And you're excited about that family, but what if like you meet the family, you're like, we're not really, we're
Right.
not
There should
connected.
be
Like,
something where
yeah,
you guys can pick each other. Yeah.
right. And it's not, like dating. It's not a dating. Okay, do I want this family or not? Because you don't know who else is gonna adopt you. Like it's like you don't know. Like what if you don't get adopted again? What if
Right.
that
Exactly.
opportunity never comes up? So I get it. Where like kids are like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna accept you as my family. And eventually, like both you and I, we eventually ended up loving our families. But in the beginning, of course, it's like, what is this? it is.
Right.
It's definitely very interesting that I feel like is not talked about either. Like what happens if the child meets the family? You're just like, I don't want this family.
We don't have,
Yeah.
honey, we never had that option.
No, like
We
the
don't have,
choice does not exist.
it does not
It
exist
does not
at
exist.
all.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. It really doesn't exist whatsoever. And it's kind of sad. You would think
It
that,
is.
um, because the thing is like, and we talked about this too, in the
Yeah.
foster care system, like if you get adopted through foster care or if you're just being
Mhm.
fostered, usually there's someone from the system that comes in to check in with the child and see how they're
Mhm.
doing. Um, and my boyfriend, for example, he's fostering some his siblings actually, and so they come in and they check in. They
Mhm.
have like very strict like
Mhm.
check-ins and regulations when it comes to how the child is being taken care of,
Mhm.
and nothing was put in place, as far as I know, for adoption.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, there might be something like that, but at
Mhm.
least when I originally got adopted, I don't think there was much of that type of like
Mhm.
resource available for the parents and the adoptive children.
Yeah, sure. And I encourage you once again as a parent when you're meeting your kids just to kind of give them that open space and being like, ask them, do you want to be part of our family? Just to ask about. I don't know how that's gonna go. Just
Yeah, I know.
ask.
I'm like,
I
kids,
know, just
if the
ask.
kids are like, they don't like, I mean, I can
I
see that would be a very
just give
tricky,
them.
that would
Yeah,
be a tricky conversation because if you had asked 13-year-old me, I would have been like,
yeah,
no, I do not want to be a part of this family. You know what I mean?
I
So
guess.
it is hard as a child to give them that option because sometimes they don't even know the decision that they're
Hmm.
even making.
Hmm.
So I feel like it's almost like you have the option to, maybe there's a system in place in Sierra Leone that helps
Mhm.
the child grow up and get a job, do that kind of stuff, but they're being taken care of. Do you want the option to get adopted or to go through this type of program?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? But
Yeah. Or
there's
or you can also come, approach it from the angle of, we want to be your new family. And we know this process, you don't really know us. It's why you don't know if you can trust us, if you want to be part of it. But give us a chance. Give us a chance to be your family and be open to us. And we're going to do everything that we can to love you and, take care of you. So kind of give it in that, in that way of, again, making the child feel comfortable, like they have an option and they have choice in this. Because I feel like when you keep it open like that, the child can feel like, okay, I can decide whether or not I want to be part of this family, or feel like I'm included in like this whole process. It hasn't been just like me not being part of it at all. It makes them feel like they're part of the process. And this video was really cute at the end, because it shows, the child, she's like 9 now. They met her when she was like less than 1 or like 1 year
she
old.
was very young.
And she's beautiful. She's thriving now. And it looks like they love, you can tell they love on her. They're like, she's like our favorite, talking really good things about her. So it looked like, she actually ended up loving her family and being with them. So it was a beautiful video. It was really cute.
Yeah. So we're not, in all of it all, we're not saying that your child is automatically just going to be scared of you. That's our personal experience, and a lot of experiences we've heard from our friends and people that we know that have gotten adopted, which is natural. You're meeting a stranger. But even if they are scared of you, especially if they're scared of you, just being able to be okay and understand that these kids aren't going to automatically just fall in love with you, just like you would fall in love with them. And that's just part of the process. It takes time. And the kids are naturally going to build a boundary. So learning how to work with that boundary, and then being able to set your own boundaries with the kids as well, is very important. So
and also, in addition, when you bring these children home, yes, other family members are going to be really excited as well. They want to touch the kid, they want to hold them, like, you know what I mean, because they've been part of the process as well. Talk to your family members and also set those boundaries. Like, this is a new space. You know what I mean? Just let them know, hey, don't touch, don't, just feel them out. Feel them out and see what they want. Don't just, you know what I mean? Don't just hop in. And because I remember just being smothered by so many people.
I remember you saying that.
I was terrified. So don't let family members and friends smother the child. Just give them space.
Give them space. I remember before we go, I remember like my adoptive mom, we got adopted when we were older. I was 8 years old, and my adoptive mom, she's trying to find ways to like kind of bond with me in a similar way that like a child bonds with their maternal, their mother in a maternal way. And so she joined this like adoption program and camp that like had all these different like strategies and tips of how to bond with your child who was adopted at an older age. And one of the things, like one of the exercises they would do is like have me sit on my mom's lap and like put my head on her chest, like as if imitating the process of like milking a baby, like giving milk to a baby. It was just like really awkward. I'm over here sitting on my mom's lap. I'm like 13 years old, 14 years old, like, just like older. I was like maybe not 14. I was maybe like 10 or 11 years old. And I just remember feeling so awkward and so weird. Like I was like, what is going on? This is really strange. But that was like a funny experience. And that was like, boundaries were definitely broken all the way. But I understand the idea behind it, because you're always trying to figure out ways to bond with your child, because you guys just didn't have that experience when they were born. But sometimes we don't go too far left and figure out ways to bond with the child, like
just feel the child out and talk to the child. Feel them out and just talk to them. But that's it today for today's video. We hope you guys enjoy it. I hope it was informative. Let us know if you guys have any questions, concerned. Just don't forget to put them in the comments or email us and reach out to us. Till next time.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye guys.